to do our own thing, all of us. I don't just mean Soulogy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a Soul Speaks music video and work and share to the groups, and work it through the network, and give people time to come in. All right, hang on. Let me go back here, and that's about 4 minutes. And okay, so let me just go here, put this on. Your audio will be on, just so you'll know.
Okay.
But you won't be on the screen. Okay. So let's just put this on, and
got a little soul speak tonight. One of the purposes of Soulogy is to bring out into the open all the things we are sharing. In this apocalypse, everything's more intense, even if we don't know what's happening to us all the time. We sure can feel it. But there's a lot of things that we could share. Things that we're afraid to share or even embarrassed to discuss. Yet this is the universal paradox. It's how the universe teaches. Soul sense found behind fears. Our highest leaps of light just past the frail walls of a harmless darkness. Possibilities, probabilities, realities. More frequencies and vibrations if we're brave enough to use them. And they all lead to the same place. It's called the Soul Highway. Pyramids, pineal gland, ET lineage, memories of abductions, angel visits, ascended masters. And who are these powers behind the governments that have begun to fall? Doesn't really matter. What's important is me and you. Perhaps the best thing we could share are the personal challenges, the emotional eruptions, mental and physical shifts come with and to a seeking mind in the golden age we live in. You see, our victories are far more than we know. When we cross the heart to a higher ground, by yielding to the possible impossibilities. And what we find in this shared space contained within ourselves, linked somehow by the same healing power. It's called the gnosis of soul. We have given the world our differences, and the story has never changed. It's time to shine. Ascension is about honoring our sacred space, and when we do, all merges into one. And no longer do we have to point to what's different. No longer do we have to label each other with lies to make ourselves look good, to make ourselves look better in the egoic mind. It's time to shine, beginning with our innermost circles of life. From the innermost circle of what is life, the I Am Soul. So let your soul shine. Live your truth, not what the world tells you is the truth. The soul leads and the ego can only follow.
all right. Let me just get everything in order here. Okay.
Good luck
Well,
with that.
what's that?
I said good luck with that.
Yeah, right, exactly.
World peace there, Todd?
Yeah, I run every time somebody tells me they got it all figured out now. But that's what I love talking about you. You know, I was just talking to my friend and my wife about, they said, who's coming on? And I was like, Wanda. And I said, yeah, you know, she's like been in it a long time. I use the term old school without, not in a disrespectful way, but a lot of that, and I'm not pointing fingers at anybody, but a lot of that, and me included, these things that served us don't always continue to serve us. Like we move past it, we transcend, we elevate. And what I love about talking to you was you're always open to change. You're always changing. I could feel it in your frequency and the things you were talking about, and the cut to the chase. And okay, we know that. Put that behind you. Let's go to the next thing. And I've followed a couple of your posts, probably more than a couple, you know, in the 2 or 3 weeks after that. Yeah, I really dug the authenticity and the rawness and the straightforward, direct approach that you take. So welcome back, Wanda.
Thank you.
SoulSpeaks 5D. Thank you for sharing space and honoring us with your presence.
Thank you. Yeah, you know, Todd, I even say of myself that I was I think they call us early indigos, right? Because I'm old now in my 60s. And I mean, I started this when I was a kid, when I was 15. And I just say that I was one of the slow learners. So, you know, that's what I would say. I'm amazed at my clients that are, I don't know, and, you know, people that you have on your show, like I love Vera. Vera's not a client. I love Vera Ingborg. How did Vera get so smart and so wise? She's not that old, right? They're just younger, you know, for me, some of these younger folks get it, really get it.
Yeah.
I call Vera my friend. We speak the same twin talk.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I think what it is, and it's the same thing I'm referring to, and I'm not saying I know anything, I'm just saying the same thing I'm referring to in regard to you. So it doesn't really matter the age, the time in it, you know, I mean, even Vera. If you look at Vera's stuff, and I know Morgan followed her like a lot of people for a few years, but in the couple of years I've known her, and probably done 20 different shows with her, I see that growth every time. In fact, the last show we did, I didn't want to go on. She didn't want to go on.
I saw that. I caught that. I caught the replay on that because I just love her so much, right?
And I think that's what it is. I think it's just the fact that you can be raw, and that's the gift. It's like getting past the point of embarrassment. You know, I look at it this way. When I woke up 8 years ago, I understood one thing primarily, and that is I am soul. And that's the common denominator through any religion, philosophy, whatever, you know, ideal, whatever. But then I started to realize that, you know what, the other common denominator is we're human hybrid souls going through this experience that the universe has never had before. We have that in common. And the highest activations, code exchange, channeling, transmissions come from this conversation.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, I got my ass whipped yesterday. I was on, like Vera said that morning, I cried for 4 hours straight. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that it's just so crazy to me. And sometimes I talk like I'm from another planet, and I felt that way most of my life. But, you know, humans are just so silly. You know, we decided to, however it worked, we're in the matrix. We're in this consensual reality. Psychology is a field of study because we're all pretty much wired the same.
Yeah.
We have the same organic feelings in our body, fear, shame, the whole range. So then, you know, ego gets in the way and we try to pretend, oh no, not me. I don't do that. And I mean, this is what we're about. This is kind of, I told you before we went on, I had a mod day yesterday, you know, the crabby old woman in the cartoons. And I just want to shake people who think that they can bypass. And I do understand that truly, life in the quantum field means that everything is true. Everything is true and everything is the path. Absolutely everything is the path. At the same time, I just want to say to people that ascension is embodiment. We're here to bring these big bright lights that we are, and the power and the knowing, whether it's interdimensional or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know, we're here to bring that down into our bodies.
Yeah.
And to have experiences where we say, oh, well, that was interesting. That was fear. Wow. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Right? And then let it go. But this whole thing that we've tried to cover up because we think we shouldn't have that is part and parcel of this whole experience of being a soul that has a body and what that means. So that was my mod day yesterday.
Yeah.
You know, for I don't know, you would know better than me. There seem to just be a whole lot of people that are focused on the phenomena, and it is a path. And then after that, it's like, okay, well, that was fun. Now what?
Yeah.
And the work is bringing it down.
Yeah, I think that's what's been happening over these last few months. I mean, people talked about the yogi guru thing kind of going away end of last year, like not towards anybody, but just that people were position heal thyself, you know, to thine own self be true. People starting to come in. And it's interesting because of what you said, the phenomena thing. It's like, I heard this for years in my own community, was get over the wow.
Yeah.
You know, something would happen and I would hear immediately, get over the wow. If you want to stick with the wow, you're going to be stuck like in quicksand for a while. Just accept it and move on. And I can remember, now this will go back 2 or 3 years, I can remember quite a few friends that I was talking to when I did have more human interaction. And they would get to that point, which we all did at one point, and like, oh, I get it now. And I'd tell them, get over the wow, and get with it, because, and I think that's kind of where we're at. There's so much evidence of so many different people from so many different walks of life having so many different types of experiences that ultimately all lead to the same place and are saying the same thing. The human is the hero. The journey is the hero. What we do with it is the potential that the universe chose and we chose to explore. The universe doesn't know how far we're going to take it, and it's time to just belly up to the bar. And I've seen some powerful energy in the last couple of days, particularly from some divine feminine. And I'll just say it, Monique Hendry and Yvonnya from Tasmania, Bartholomew's, coming out and saying it's time to come out of the closet. It's time to, let me tell you what my intel is, you know, or whatever that message is. This is it. That's it. You know, it's
well, it is, you know, it is time. I have a business, I have a partner in our retreat business, in our sacred retreat business. And we've got a retreat at Mount Shasta coming up in the beginning of September.
Oh, cool.
We don't pick the retreats. They pick us. We don't even pick the dates. The dates pick us.
Yeah.
So it's September 5th through the 9th or 5th through the 10th. And we came up with the dates a long time ago because she and I were both really busy. It's Teresa Lutnager's my best friend and partner in the retreats. And it's really this fall. I mean, it's just stunning if you look at the astrology. You know, I love it that we've created astrology as this validation, you know, for people who love that. It's like a great validation of what's going on. But, you know, it's the lead up to the Saturn-Pluto conjunction.
Yeah.
You know, Pluto tears away everything old. Saturn comes in with a new creation. And these eclipses, the Lion's Gate is coming up, right? Sideways elevators, nonlinear stuff shows up. And during that weekend, or during that long weekend, it's just a very unusual astrological alignment with a bunch of planets in an earth sign. It is all about bringing this big dream of ours, whatever everybody's thing is, you could call it your sacred mission. It's just time to come out of the closet and time to get rid of those training wheels and go public. It's time to embody it and be it and speak it and do something, even if your mind doesn't know exactly what to do. It's just amazing to me, this time right now, and how powerful it is to do just that. It is time for all of us in the world to come out and speak our truth. You know?
Yeah, and I find it interesting too, because, and I apply all this to myself. So don't anyone get the wrong idea. I mean, one thing I've learned is from Morgan is exactly what you're talking about. One, none of it matters until you embody it. Once I understood what that meant, then I understood, it took me 2 years to even understand what the hell that meant. Now it's actually not, oh, okay, well, I know how to do that. No, it's actually embodiment is actually utilizing these multidimensional skills, abilities, memories, and whatever in moment by moment by moment, no matter how mundane a task is or how trivial something may seem or how profound or deep it may be. We can apply all of this in the moment. What I'm really finding a striking contrast. So we talked about the wow. Now, plenty of people, if not everybody's gotten some type of channeling, transmission, download, and they're starting to say, oh, okay, well, I'm not different. Oh, I am getting something. And maybe they haven't stepped out and talked about it. So they're dealing with that wow factor. Okay. Then the other side of it is, I guess I'll put it this way, not applying these things and not embracing and actualizing and expanding the human, or say the divine human. I mean, it's like, it's not one extreme or the other. There's somewhere in the middle that is the subtle 0 point where you're human, and that's the driver, but you have all this multidimensional skills, abilities, and memories and all that.
Well, here's what I would say, and maybe we're saying the same thing. You know, we in this community have different languaging, right? It's just language. It's just when you start to live in the quantum field where everything is possible and everything's a choice, and everything is energy, then, you know, words really fail, I think. But I would say the human's never in control. I used to say, okay, guys, this is what I want if I get a say so. But I have learned my personality does not get a say so. It just doesn't. But what my soul or oversoul or, you know, whatever this term is that we've made up, because we don't really know, everything's energy, really, that the plan for my life, the plan for your life is way bigger and grander and more comprehensive than anything that certainly my little pea brain could come up with, right?
That's true.
So I don't think the human, you know, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm like, I don't know. I just don't know that the human as we know it has any say so. When we embody, I know in my life, when the mind is no longer active, and I guess and we don't think, everything is, how do I feel? What does this feel like when we're navigating energetically? I just know now that thoughts come into my brain and it's just a receiver, and they're not from me, because something will come in and I'll think, that is a good idea.
Right.
Wow, I never would have thought of that, right? Because, you know, as a channel, they feed you words that you don't usually use. So I would say that as we get out of the programming of consensual reality, are, as you said, completely present in each moment, and, you know, turning those particle or waves into particles with excitement, right? Like, ooh, I wonder what's going to show up. I really think that's the greater part of us that is, it's living through us. That's what I would call it. We're lived. I always tell people we're lived and we are breathed. Yeah. So, you know, so but maybe that is the new human. I mean, I think probably that's really a good point. I would say the new human is that blended, you know, field like the bodies are, our bodies are an amazing sensory field.
Yeah, people are talking about the merging of, we can, simplify it, higher self, human. But I agree with what you're saying. I agree that part of the human being in control, so to speak, is knowing they're not. So, but there is something to be said for the human aspect, our human aspect, to say, okay, I'm throwing in with this. Okay, I understand how this thing operates now. And like you said, the personality steps to the side, but the human has a choice to follow this non-physical communion and direction or not to. And I think we've been through it enough to know, hey, this is actually how this works, and it's kind of cool, and it's all for me, and I get to be the one to experience it, see, touch it, feel it, smell it. That's
easier. The thing is, it's easier. It's, I think I said when I was on your show the last time, I mean, I was forced into this. That's what my human says, right? Just like you, I had to let go. I had no choice. What I do now in my work with people, it's clearly, my death, it's in my chart astrologically, it's a destiny point. But to try to hang on, to be in control, to figure things out, to analyze, it's just hard work.
Yeah.
It is easier just to say, whatever, okay. Yeah. Like, okay, whatever. And just to say yes to everything. What happens is that the mind then just, we're not pushing boulders uphill anymore. It's so much easier. And, and in the beginning, any creations that we have that aren't in alignment with this life that we're, going to live, it gets pretty dicey then when those creations go, as you and I both have experienced. But after that, things just start flooding in like amazing big things. I am just continually astonished in my own life. In this, I have a group called the Quantum Entrepreneur. I am just incredible things with these people that are in my group. Things just showing up like bigger than life.
Yeah.
So it's easier for anybody who's listening that's trying to hang on and is still in fear. Let go.
Yeah.
Right? It's just so much easier.
Yeah, and that's another thing that seems to be happening is that that whether it be a work environment, family environment, a particular relationship, could be any type of relationship, the when there's not congruence and it doesn't make your soul shine, and it really starts to hurt your soul.
It does.
And it's got to the point now where if you don't make that choice, the universe is going to make it in a very loud way for you, which, like you said, it's just so much easier. If it doesn't make sense, do it. If you're hearing something that doesn't make any sense, do it. And we're seeing people do it every day all over the place. I can think of a lady, a good friend of ours, that a month ago or so, after a relationship with a gentleman, said, "Hey, I'm done. I'm not, this is hurting my soul. I love you, we're friends, whatever." And a month later, their relationship's been restarted, but it's on totally different terms. There's no physical intimacy, maybe until the time is right. They're getting to know each other on the right terms. And the same thing's happening with people leaving their homes. This year, I've known quite a few people leaving their jobs and just saying, or just packing up and going somewhere.
Yeah. It's just part of, it's just part of this process of becoming free. I think most of us have yearned for freedom, but we didn't know how to get there. And unfortunately for the mind, and its stories that it throws up, right? Because that's what minds do. Yeah. We have to, like, I just use this analogy. The only way we ever really learn how to ride a bike is to take the training wheels off.
Yeah.
And so many people want to ride a bike. They want to know what that feels like. and they ride around on training wheels for years or decades.
Yeah.
And it really is like pulling a Band-Aid off. You just have to feel that whatever is going to come up, right? Because once you feel the fear, get back to 0 point with that. A lot of people know how to create, imagine what you want, question your thoughts, do all that stuff. Then, since you are the universe, you are all that is, it is your hologram, it immediately rearranges itself.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be long unless you think it's going to be long. But it's just can be things, people are moving through things so quickly now. It's just really fun to watch for me, really fun.
Well, I think too, you have this expanded collective awareness that's affecting the individuals, and a lot of this stuff we didn't even know we had training wheels. You know what I mean?
No, you don't.
You're just like, what?
Yeah, we thought we didn't know, right? We didn't know. And then, for some of us, life has forced us to let go more and more and more. And then we have these multidimensional experiences, lock those in our bodies, right? Because we're in the really physical part of this now, where I know with me, I experience the sensory, the sensory perception of the edge of my body, and I now can go into different timelines and experience the edge of that and experience that viscerally. So then we think, well, what else isn't? What else am I just on autopilot for, right?
Yeah.
So then we just start saying, then we just start questioning everything. And then when you realize, I don't know, my work is about understanding we're here to live in the quantum field.
Yeah.
We're not even real, right? Why should I care about my liver? I don't even have a liver. It's projection.
Right.
What I tell myself when I have a glass of wine occasionally. But, we're here to live in the quantum field of all possibilities.
Yeah.
Some would call that the divine feminine, right? Yeah. All possibilities.
Yeah.
And
that
that's where we are now.
Yeah. I had an experience last night. I was just telling Morgan and my friend that seems relevant right now. Not because it's going to explain anything, but I think the frequency of it. You're right about this quantum field thing, right? So I was on the balcony on the second floor, looking out over the pasture, looking out over the ocean, 2 o'clock in the morning. Moon's still pretty full, right? And to my right, there's a parking lot with 10, 12, 14 cars. And there's a lot of trees. There's a horse in the pasture across from me. And this understanding came in. And it had to do with, okay, well, you've seen dragons lately, you've seen galactics, you've merged with non-physical beings, you've had these incredible triad mergings with Morgan and other entities, and all these colossal, multidimensional stuff, right?
Yeah.
And as I was looking out at everything, it was almost as if everything I was looking at said to me, okay, we're going to merge with you now. And you don't need any of that stuff. All that stuff was there just to awaken your memory of who you were and what you are and what this is. So I looked to my right, and my car is right there, our car. And I thought, and I looked at it and heard, I'm the same God substance as you are. I'm an extension of you. You're an extension of me. We work together. Let's put our energy together. Then I went to the rest of the cars, and then it was the trees, and then the wind started whipping in my face. And I thought, okay, wait, everything's here. Everything that I can see, we're integrating physical and non-physical. We're not just a biological human. We're actually all this other stuff, but we're actually having the opportunity to do this in the physical matter realm. And I'm like, whoa, and I don't know if I explained it very well, but it really struck me. And maybe I'll never see another galactic, or maybe I'll never see another dragon, or whatever the case is. But this was a bigger message. This message was everything you have is here. This is the quantum field. You can produce magic right here with everything here, nothing separate from me. And the last thing that really struck me was it said, oneness is oneness. It's not just red, black, white, yellow, brown. It's the trees, the cars, the wind. you can actually connect and integrate with all of it. And then I spent the next 30 minutes actually merging with it all. It was incredible.
Yeah. So for
Right.
people, yeah, I mean, I love that, Todd. I mean, and for people who, I mean, obviously for for various reasons because of trauma are saying, get me out of here.
Yeah.
They just have not hit the magic yet. When you realize that that everything is a projection, everything is just energy, and that our brains and our, this engineering process that we created to make it seem separate and different, because that's what's being reverse engineered right now. And you realize that, when you realize, even if you don't have these experiences, even if the quantum physics speaks to you, right? That's when life gets really trippy and really fun and magical. Then that's when you just are like a kid at Christmas every day. Just the idea that I am that car, and I don't know if I said this before, but I just want to share a story from that I'm sure a lot of people have had. I have 2 clients who were in auto accidents, and immediately, as just before impact, they said no, and they perceived, they could see and feel the oncoming car move through theirs. So if I know 2 people, if I have 2 clients that experience that, it's really common, right? But that's just where we are right now. So when we talk about living in the quantum field and all the phenomena, who cares about that? I mean, for me, I think I don't really care. I want to have this really juicy life, right? It's something that feels amazing and feels juicy. So if you can become one with the car, then whatever your biggest dream happens to be, that just feels amazing and soul rewarding, because it's in alignment with your soul, then that baby's done.
Yeah.
It's done. It's there.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, what's weird is not weird. Validating is that I've actually had 2 people tell me that same story about their car accident.
Yeah, because it's how it works. I mean, this is the thing when this is the part of the gift of your show, is that this stuff, all this information that many people are experiencing, is coming up and is presented in a more public forum, so that people don't say, oh, well, that can't be true, because it is true, because the nature of reality is that it's not real. It's just not real, what we call real.
Yeah. I'll tell you another example of that too, because I'm finding it real interesting, is the global stage. So on one hand, you've got this group, or say it's not a group, but let's say one extreme would be, I'm downloading Jesus, I'm Archangel Michael's son, I'm whatever that is, and I'm not making fun of that. I'm just saying, the universe is given a message. It's a very powerful message. It's very challenging to the ego. The higher the soul goes, the higher the ego goes. So we talked about that. Get over the boom. So there's that element on one end. Now on the other end, you have an intellectual, open, I would say open-minded, but an intellectual wanting to serve the collective kind of, and it's caught up in what's happening globally, like the narrative.
Yeah.
And I'm watching this thing, and it's been interesting to me, because like a lot of us, I kind of woke up through the conspiracy, stuff, that came out, like, oh, wow, 9/11, that really was, the shock and all that.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, as I'm watching this lately, it's starting to lose its luster. And I'm starting to go, oh, wait a minute now, that is an illusion. That story is just basically a collective story. It's no different than one person's individual, individual illusion, or getting caught up in it or believing it or whatever, like just what you're talking about. So I'm watching it and I'm thinking, is that going to break down, or is that going to match our inner expansion? And I really am more inclined to believe that there's not going to be a literal parallel on the global stage anymore. I used to think that. Now I think it's going to be this incredible collective, magical, supernatural thing that happens as we do the same inside.
Well, here, I mean, I can only speak from my experience, right? Because that's all I know. But, I work with 2 groups and, work with people. So I kind of have that feedback. And, but I just know that as we go through this process of questioning everything and pulling out and becoming aware of the patterns that the mind has, that have been running. So as we realize we are pure, I sound like Abraham, but pure energy, as we really get it and experience that we are just this pure energy, and that in the absence of patterns that dilute the energy, we are capable of so much change. It's like a few of us on one end of the teeter-totter, and the masses on the other end that are into conspiracy theories and all that. We that are holding this massive light and intention and expectation of peace, it has no choice but to happen.
Yeah.
So I personally, I don't watch that stuff because it's like watching corn grow. I know that it grows.
Yeah.
I believe that, I just know, I don't even believe, I know that in this process of waking up, which my guides show it to me like a Fibonacci spiral, it'll shift.
Yeah.
We're just seeing these shifts in people suddenly waking up. So it has to change. I think people love the conspiracy theories and the drama because it's kind of, they're still in their heads. It gives their mind something to do. And I did a post about this recently, like somebody if you're into the drama, then somebody gets to be right and somebody gets to be wrong.
That's where the rubber meets the road right there. See, I saw a very prominent person today who's rightfully so done some great work over the years. Put up a post, made a comment in the comment section, and like you said earlier, you don't go find anything, it finds you. So whatever you need to see during the day, it's for you, right? So I see this comment, and I don't even know what the post was about, but it was in that vein. And so somebody said something about Edward Snowden. And then the person said, he's a traitor. And I thought, whoa, where has this gone from wake up, people, it's not what you think, to separation, period, in the story. You know what I mean?
And it's just another path, right? But it's interesting to me as I like you, as I observe it, and I am married to somebody who's pretty traditional. We just don't talk about politics. We just because it doesn't matter. If we start to, things get heated because I don't care, because it doesn't matter. So we just say, he'll look at me and say, and it doesn't matter. No, it doesn't.
It's the beauty of polarity.
So we don't talk about it. But I just think at some point, it's just part of this process that everybody has to go through. At some point, you're either all on with waking up and you're very aware of every thought that you have in each moment, or you're not. Until you get there, you don't get there until you're there. Yeah. So I look at, I do the same thing. I see some people that are pretty popular teachers say some things, and it, like I said, everything is the path, and I get that. Yeah. And at the same time, ultimately, I believe that people that are on this spiritual path will have to make a decision, or say, well, I'm a fake, because that's what I used to say to me. I either walk my talk or I'm a big fake. Yeah.
I'd love to have a conversation with one or more people on on the show. We've done some of this stuff, and it works pretty well if you can moderate it. Where you have people who are affixed, you know, into that, we got to change the world, we got to point out the bad guys, and and they're really white hats in the government, and you know, and I'm not saying this stuff isn't true.
Right.
But what I'm saying is to have a conversation where you say, now let me ask you a question. Do you really think exposing this and exposing that and creating these separations, because that's what it is.
Yeah.
You're in one sense saying that not everything is equal, and there is maybe evil or dark, and let's admit it, and whatever. Do you think we can have more impact by bringing those things to light, or will we have more impact literally in this realm and on this universe by expanding ourselves, by digging up our own shift, you know, by uncovering our own shadows, and by taking on the responsibility of actually saying, okay, you know what, if I change myself, I'm actually going to change my brother and my sister of this world.
Because that when you understand energy, you know, my work is about energy mastery. When you understand energy and the nature of life as your hologram, that's exactly true. You know, people are so angry about what's going on, and I don't like it either. And it's there, and evil's there. But you know what? I can either stay angry and be in rage and let that be my set point and an attraction point for ideas and everything that comes in, or I can say, I don't like this. Here's what I can do. Like in my case, you know, I'm not an activist.
Yeah.
I teach energy mastery, right? So, but I can vote, and I can do whatever it is that I can do. And my power is, how do we create? You know, I look in me. Really, it's just what you said. Where in me, if I didn't feel, if I didn't have victim energy in me, I don't get upset. Yeah. So we always have to go inside and look at what in me is feeling upset. We have to clean up our own stuff, because our lives are a hologram. Right? The only thing we can change is our projection. And when enough of us change, those intersecting holograms create a different world. Yeah. And when we're focused on peace, then our brains get imprinted or get signaled with solutions that are about peace. Staying in anger or pushing against something doesn't do anything.
Or even like in your line of work, I had my biggest shift, and it won't be my last. I can promise you that. But it was a very good one. It felt so good about 10 days ago. Went through about a period of about 5 days, and I've talked about it.
The eclipses? Was it the eclipse?
I guess so. I guess it was in that time period, first few days of July. And but when I came out of it, I said, I'm done with distortion and distraction. And so as I'm talking to you, I'm thinking, well, that's another way to look at it, Todd, is if I'm checking out so-and-so's YouTube channel, which has been a pattern because I like to stay abreast of things, is it distorting anything for me or a distraction? Because ultimately, why am I going back over there and checking this guy out or checking this channel out? If it's creating, you know what I mean? I mean, there's something going on there. You know, like they say in the good book, you can't serve two masters. Morgan has a saying, if you look for it, you'll find it. Meaning, like, if you look for the crap, you're going to find the crap. You know what I mean?
Because everything exists. We live in a multi-dimension. We live in the quantum field where everything just is. Everything exists. The mind makes it good or bad. So yeah, whatever we look for, you know, we send those little tentacles up into the field, and there it is. Yeah, I think because I did the same thing, and I just had to. I think that why is probably very unique to people. I just had to decide. I just said enough. Yeah. I either believe and practice this stuff that I say I believe, or I don't. And I know it works. Yeah. I know it works because this is how I live my life. Yeah. You know, from the like I said, at one point I got down to $134.
Yeah.
So I know this stuff works and I have a great life. There's something in this, I don't know why, we get pulled into consensual reality because we're plugged into it for one thing, unity consciousness, whether we realize it or not. So it's a very deeply ingrained habitual pattern.
Yeah.
It takes practice and discipline to just say, nope, I am done with that. I value my peace more than anything else. I know it's there. Like most of us know that the evil is there. We know that. We know the corruption is there. So do we need to follow the play-by-play? I don't. It just waters down my energy for everything else that I'm creating.
Well, and we're and like you said, you've seen it work. I mean, I know I've seen some of it in my life. I feel like sometimes with Morgan, I'm living a fairy tale. It doesn't fit the world, the world's security and all that. But the thing is, like, it's an all or nothing proposition. That's kind of where I've gotten to here in the last few days too. I'm like, you know what? Let's do this. I mean, we've seen enough evidence of it, and we were talking about this yesterday on one of the shows. Is how many times I can use myself. How many times along the path I've doubted myself. I've wanted to give up. I've doubted my own value, and then I think to myself, wait a minute. Think about all the divine episodes you had over 8 years. I mean, apparitions. I mean, whatever. Everyone's can point to that.
Right.
And think about the uniqueness of it and the specialness of it. And I'm like, wow, yeah, you know what? Enough of this, enough of this doubting stuff. Doubt is just the space that, hope is just the doubt the space between doubt and faith. I said a long time ago. I didn't say it, it just came to me. But it's true.
Mm-hmm.
There's no room for hope. Hope is a wing and a prayer. We're beyond that. We're faith in motion.
Yeah. Before the mind, I would suggest that before the mind really lets go of its death grip on control, right? Where it finally just says whatever, then this unworthiness, value, it's just, it's part of the collective. It's part of the split that we programmed into ourselves. That's up right now with actually a lot of people I see.
Yeah, it is. That's a big deal right now, isn't it? Value.
Yeah. It's interesting. This may be kind of off topic, but this is, tangents are always fun. It's interesting to me. I've had a couple sessions, private one-on-one sessions lately where these, and I do meditations in my, in the Quantum Entrepreneur group. And I work a lot with galactics. I'm pretty galactic. I've seen them. I live among them. That's usually what comes through.
Yeah.
In these sessions lately, like in the last week, it has been, I don't have words for this. I just don't have words for this Magdalene energy on steroids, like Mother Mary Magdalene love on steroids. There's no word. We don't have a word for this.
Yeah.
And so it's this whole thing about, and then, we integrate. And I think in every session, the Magdalene integrated with us. And it's really about not understanding, feeling, knowing this holiness, this sacredness, this love, which is not a good word. It's bigger than that, right?
Exactly.
That we are. I thought it was pretty interesting because no two of my sessions are ever the same. It's whatever the clients call forth. But that tells me that this is just this, it's part of the Fibonacci spiral, right? As the soul descends into the body, part of what happens is that we're flushing up these old programs of worthiness or not worthiness or value. One of my clients is an incredible, and she's a friend, is an incredible channel and teaches intuition. And she channeled that you know, like this is just being in a body is the thing, right? Like that is enough. That is our value of being here and in a body.
Yeah.
We don't have really, and this is, you know, the topic in one of my groups of what if the only reason we work is to amp up our self-honoring so that money can come in?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. We had a, I don't want to get into that. I want to ask you a couple of questions.
Yeah.
But I love what you're saying, and we can go on about this. We could go on about this. But I want people, because you mentioned these two groups, okay? So you have two groups. Are they open to other people? Where can they find information about them and that type of thing?
My work, so I started a group a few years ago called the Diamond Path, when a lot of the work that was coming through me was doing diamond light body activations, right? So that's open. We try to do one live call a week. I don't always do that. Other people are facilitating, but there's, you know, people from all over the world that are incredible channels in that. And we're actually pulling through information, kind of technical information on this embodiment stage, right? Like pulling in the sensory, the sensory stuff in the body for these ever higher timelines or dimensional realities that we're locking into. The other thing, so my other group is the Quantum Entrepreneur, and I'm just ending the beta program for that. And I'm coming up with another one. I'm actually working with someone to help me create an online course, and then another version of the one that we're just finishing, which is hands-on, very personal. That will be a smaller group. So they can look on my website, vitalenlightenment.com. And then Teresa and I have the thing that I'm really excited about is that in September 5th through the 9th, we have our retreat in Mount Shasta. And more information is coming through about this. We're just pulling in more information. When we talk about the government and, you know, all this stuff, just in the last week, we've gotten information about a new group, a new global group for self-governance.
Wow.
So we've got people coming from all over the world, and I'm really not at liberty to say who some of the names are without their consent, but some pretty well-known people are showing up for this. And it's, you know, we've got people who are wanting to lock in this knowing of, I'm a soul with a body, and what does that feel like? Because, you know, when you work in a live group, it is like plugging into an electrical socket.
Right. Yeah. Right? Yeah. There's a lot of power. Yeah. I experienced that in this show. And then having done a lot of videos prior to these shows over the years where they weren't live, there's something about that energy that's real. It's part of the raw. It's part of the authentic. The non. Yeah. When
you come together in a physical group, this is the fourth. I think it's the fourth retreat. Just click on events. Click on events.
Here we go.
Yeah, and Alive in the Mystery. Click on. Scroll down to the first one. Go back to events.
Oh yeah, I see. Alive in the Mystery.
Yeah. This is all about being fully alive, fully excited, in joy, in the mystery, in the not knowing. And that's where people get hung up, right?
In the not knowing. I like that. In the not knowing. That's a Vera statement right there. No wonder.
Yeah, of course it is. That's why I love Vera. Because, you know, the magic comes through when we don't try to control it.
Exactly.
When we are excited. So anyway, and we still have room for a few more people. We're really excited about that, just because of the energies then and what we know will be happening.
So that's Mount Shasta, September 5th through 9th?
Yep.
Yeah, so here's registration here, some testimonials,
Yep.
itinerary. So this is specifically for this event, this particular website, or is this your
Well, Vital Enlightenment is my website, and
Okay,
then
so this is
I just, yeah, this is in the events on my web page.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I see one here. Yeah.
I'm
Now I can't remember because I do so many shows and I'm getting old. No, I'm not. I'm not getting old. I'm losing my 3D memory. So do you focus on groups or do you do some one-on-one?
both. I do both. Yes, I do both. I do one-on-one sessions. I love the idea of the quantum entrepreneur because how this ties into what you and I have talked about is, so when you're over the phenomena, it's just all the phenomena is just another ho-hum.
Yeah.
You don't need to look at graphs. That's when I'm redoing my website. Before I stopped coloring my hair.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at, go ahead, keep going.
No, that's okay. But when you don't need to look at a chart or graph for the Schumann resonance, because you can tell, you just know what's happening. When you don't care that you see an ET in the back acre, like everything, all that is a ho-hum. We are creators. We've just been doing it unconsciously. So when you become a pure, unadulterated, conscious creator, we become this massive energy that is looking for an outlet.
Yeah.
So, at the end of the day, I believe we're here for the joy.
Absolutely.
That's it. Like,
Absolutely.
It's not really complicated. We're here for the joy, and whatever that is. Like you and Morgan are doing twin flame stuff and whatever. But so I work with people that heart-centered entrepreneurs that some are traditional and some aren't, to support them while they're getting clear on what it is they're creating and how to do it, So, and the how comes when we just stay in the field of all possibilities. So anyway, I do both.
And like you said,
I do one-on-one sessions too. Yeah, because people are still clearing really deep layers of trauma. Lots of ancestral stuff right now is coming up. Deep integrations. So I think that for me, that's the gift in one-on-one sessions, that people really get down to the stuff that dogs them, right?
Yeah.
Haven't been able to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's vitalenlightenment.com. So here mentions the quantum entrepreneur. Of course, the event we just talked about at Shasta, one-on-one sessions, and in the far bottom right, contact information. There's a phone number and as well as an email form. So this is good stuff. I love like I said, I was talking about you earlier. Still expanding, not changing. Been through a lot, seen a lot, interact a lot with the other side, non-physical, whatever you want to call it, and still.
There's only one of us here, right?
Yeah,
that includes the car and the Arcturians or whoever it is that you're interested in the moment.
Yeah, you're still down to earth, and that's what counts. I mean, that's really what it is. You're embodying. Embodying.
We're here for the fun, really. We are here for the fun. I wish I would have known this decades ago. I mean, it is just so simple. There's nothing to understand. I wish I just could have let go. So it's entrusted myself. If there's anything that I really would like to impart with people that I work with is learn to trust yourself. Yeah. Don't even trust me, trust yourself.
Yeah, that value thing's coming up, and I think part of the as we get through it is that you start to have spiritual confidence and stick to your guns. Yeah, I've just gone through that for the last couple of days. I went through a big one yesterday, and I'm like, man, I'm not doing this again. I'm not going to hurt my soul anymore. No, I'd rather if I upset somebody or something, and I'm being as true to myself as I can be without,
that's all you can do. I mean, really.
Yeah, we're all learning.
Yeah, that's all we can do is be true to us. And, when that diamond light body gets activated, when it's really full on, everything, and the, you know, part of what comes through me is this, what I call the Eden template or the Eden blueprint. It's the really the, it's the template for embodiment, but things get really clear then. Like, yes, yes, no, no, right? There's no dance in the middle. There's no big deal. It's like, nope, not a fit.
There's no unnecessary conversations. That's the way I look at it.
No.
And it's hard, and it's a little upsetting to people, but you know, I mean, it like you said earlier, you whatever we're talking about here, it's a truth frequency, it's an authentic frequency, it's raw, it's a past the point of embarrassment. And what you said earlier in the top of the show was, hey, you know what? We've seen it. It works. It's like, why would we resist this? It actually works. You let go, the magic comes in.
Well, it's just because we're afraid. People are still seduced by fear, and they just have to want what's on the other side of it more than they want the same old, same old.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
with people like you out there doing it, more and more people will do it, whether they're conscious or not. They're picking up on it.
I hope so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because life is magical, really. Life is magical. When you don't believe in time, when you no longer live by logic or linearity, things just drop in from the field, and that's just so amazing and exciting. Opportunities. It's just incredible. I would love everybody to live this way.
I think we're all headed that way.
Yeah. And I just want to say one more thing. I'm going to use this 2 minutes.
Absolutely.
We are really not meant to do this alone, right? I mean, most people have been slogging it out in the caves of our deepest stuff. So the other thing that I really see right now with my clients and, you know, with my friends who do this, is that we can only go so far alone, and it is really time to join with other people, however anybody can do that.
Yeah, that's right.
And it ties back into what you said about not being ashamed. I mean, what do we have to be ashamed for? It was part of the deal. It was just, all this stuff was just part of the deal of being a human. We came here to experience everything.
So let's get past the wow of the grand design. get to the point of what the point was that we came in the first place. Collaboration, co-creation, supporting each other. You guys live and on the replay, get over to vitalenlightenment.com. Check out what she's got. Sounds like you and your partner got a really interesting thing going on in Shasta in September. And I look forward to collaborating with you again, and possibly your partner. Sounds like an interesting lady. And let me know if there's anything we can do for you.
Okay. Thanks.
Peace
Bye.
out. All right. Bye-bye.